we were all told in school that fragment sentences were wrong, but I've read them over and over again since in published books. When do you think the best time to use fragments are for pacing? All right, there's a few times. Armand uses them a lot, and and in the last book that we published together, I did the editing after the professional editor went through, and she was very upset at the number of fragment sentences. Most of them were in Armand's chapters, but I used them a little more too, so that my style and his style would match up a little bit. But in that particular book, I went through and changed a number of the fragment sentences. Now, generally speaking, they should be used sparsely. So, like, the fewer times you use them, the more effective they can be. A lot of times, if you are showing the thoughts of a character, especially a character under distress, then, or if even if it's not directly their thoughts, but the narrative is from their point of view or sympathetic toward their point of view, then sentence fragments can do a good job of kind of showing that description. Don't touch my fragments; they are there because they are brilliant. I turned many of your fragments into complete sentences because you had very much upset that editor. I did not, though, tell her that all those fragments came from your chapters. Though I didn't. I didn't go so far as to mention that. That was none of her business. But I did. I did decrease the fragment rate in that particular book by quite a lot. Action scenes is another time that it's very effective to use fragments in the right places. So, like, fights or people trying to struggle to survive, all those kind of things. I will never use that editor again. That was with the publisher, man. That editor came with the contract. But in those sorts of action scenes, you can use fragments to kind of punctuate the action and the confusion and the sharpness and that kind of thing. Even if you're not using fragments, sometimes short, abrupt sentences a lot of times will help an action scene go along, or emphasize the horror, or emphasize to the reader that the characters are in distress. But then there's occasion that, just in normal narrative, if you throw in a well-placed fragment sentence at a particular point, it might carry a lot of power because it does stand out from the other times. With sentence fragments, I think it's the same with a lot of things in writing, that less is more, but you can use them effectively. The point of all those rules in school is that if you go nuts and use them all the time, if you break the rules all the time, then you kind of lose the readers, because the rules are there for a reason, and it helps for clarity and understanding. So when you do break those rules, you need to be specific about it and be doing it for a reason. Even when I go through and edit, a lot of times the fragments I put in, I'll decide to go ahead and change I'll either take them out or decide to change them into complete sentences, just because it helps more. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of power in fragments. A lot of people dislike them a bunch, but used effectively, sentence fragments can add a lot, especially, I think, when you're writing genre stories of one kind or another.